Oh, we're not live.
We're live now. Don't worry.
Okay.
Welcome
It's
back,
not going.
everyone. We've got round three coming up. We have a reigning Vintage World, a yet another Brian Kelly deck. When we go to the deck list, you'll see my frustration of having to type in all of his stupid one-ofs.
Well, not stupid, but it's certainly frustrating. When I used to play Keeper, people like I used to have to write on the back of deck red sheets and create my own lines
I don't
because
think
it was
Brian's
literally
ever
all.
not written on the back of a deck red sheet.
Actually, when Brian was when Brian first got back into Vintage, he created something called Mayorfish, and it was like five color
Mayor of
hate bear
Aberbrook.
with Mayor of Averbrook, and he did very well. I'm getting out of my camera. He did very well with that deck, and he had a lot of fours in that list. So hopefully my camera's better now. I'm waiting the lag to catch up. But
Yeah, you're
back
good.
then, back then he didn't have all these one ofs. It's all right.
There's,
Just no one chat in the game.
yeah.
I'm gonna ask everyone again.
Yep, so our players are hopping out of the chat, and so we should be good to go.
Yeah, I believe JP and
Brian's on the
Ryan both
bottom.
are out. They said they would.
Yep, they both
Uh,
just popped up.
Brian, of course, won the die roll because he's always on the play. It's the vintage. Okay, yeah, and he's got the Kohler. All right. So game two will be fun. Oh man.
Now, what is the Kohler?
Turn one, Jace. Justin Kohler, not JP. Justin Kohler is notorious for playing Jace the Mind Sculptor on turn one. In Justin Kohler's defense, he does play. He for a very long time he played for Jace the Mind Sculptor. He played every single piece of fast artifact mana, except for Mana Vault, and he played Academy in his blue deck. So he was primed to play turn one Jace, but this is just classic Dragon Lord right here. And JP has Squadouche. JP's best lines are gonna be to try to take
he
away
just he
mana.
just he just said it in chat.
Yeah, I just got
Okay,
Kohler.
I
See?
just got Kohlered.
Uh,
Oh my god.
yeah, we need to remind players to just not chat in the game, please.
And hello, Rich Shay, popping up in
Oh,
our
we got
chat.
Rich.
All right,
What's
so
it see, Rich? Is it hard to see
it's hard to see the
the
turn
screen
one Jace.
or the turn
Yeah,
one
I'm
Jace?
seeing he's commenting the turn one Jace is hard to see. And I didn't even get to hem and haw and be like, oh, I wonder what Brian's going to do with his Jace first.
Yeah.
Is he
Um.
going to brainstorm like he does every single time?
Well, from this position, I agree with the brainstorm.
Oh, of course. Of course it's
But
correct now, but
I do often think that people incorrectly aggressively brainstorm with Jace too often. But turn one, it's almost a guarantee it's the right line.
yeah.
But sometimes, like especially in the dark, it's almost safer to fate seal yourself um, to protect from lightning bolt. Now, like lightning bolt's a real big card. All right, well there's Brian's classic Gitaxian probe.
Casting probe and everything. This
I like
is
to call it. If you've ever played Smash Brothers, I call it "Show me your moves." That's all I could think of whenever I cast the card, which is
uh
Captain
we
Falcon's taunt.
we didn't even talk about how his hand has no black mana and all black spells. I don't know about that keep.
Well, he had Waste Strip, right?
Yeah,
He had Waste
just
Strip Null Rod, so he had two mana sources down, and he had Null Rod. Uh, I think Brian's teasing, saying that he has to catalog it, considering he gets the pop up. But I guess the new cockatrice users don't know that he's teasing. And of course, what does Brian draw? A mental misstep, the perfect card to draw there. Yeah, this is how to win vintage champs, everybody.
this is how this is how to be the king and never have that luck run out.
Yeah, right. Uh, yeah. So, Rich, Josh played Turbo Tez versus Splinter Twin. Sean had to mulligan twice into marginal sixes. Josh had pretty strong sevens in both games. Um, there's a couple of lines Josh took that were, I think, suspect, but he was so far ahead that it didn't really matter.
It was rough. Those mulligans were really rough.
Yeah, I mean, Sean's deck was also not very well positioned to fight what Josh is doing. Like, I think Josh is as fast as a combo deck with more ways to attack while having answers for Sean's combo. So like he was uniquely positioned to slaughter Sean there. Hopefully, Sean's upcoming matches will be a little more competitive.
Hopefully, I don't know. As much as I hated Twin in Modern, seeing it in it, they're just fun. You know, when you see stuff that's in a faster format, something like that, it's not just turn 4 you're dead. Like turn 4 you're dead means so many different things than Splinter Twin.
Yeah, well, what was it? Jeremy Beaver actually played Splinter Twin to a top 16 finish at Nice 3. I think that's the best finish for the deck. It was 160 people or so. I
Wasn't
don't have
there?
the deck.
Or was that Legacy at the last Eternal Weekend?
Yeah, it was
Was that Legacy?
Chance,
Okay, that was
Legacy
Legacy.
Chance had a top 8 of Splinter Twin, but Vintage Nice 3, which was the second biggest event of the year, I believe. It was either second or third. I think it was second.
What would
But
Yeah, what would be second then if it wasn't the
EE3 or EE2 rather was 140 or so. I don't have the exact count.
150 was NYSC because they hit the cap. I remember them talking about, oh, we hit the cap. That's awesome, which is awesome. So
Yeah, so Rich is offering a suggestion on how to make the cards more discernible. I don't know if we can remove that box.
no, unfortunately not. That's just how the program is.
Yeah, I'm just letting him know. Oh, JP's playing. I almost yelled at JP for talking in chat, but he's allowed to.
Yeah, usually what I know people do is they just make the screen larger.
Here comes the Grand Arbiter.
Yep, Grand Arbiter.
And JP is now confused.
I mean, he can't even force it.
I mean, even if he could, he'd lose. Cause, yeah. Okay, JP's conceding to Grand Arbiter Augustine, the fourth.
The fourth.
You must say the name correctly, yeah.
You're right. You don't want to name the wrong card on like a pithing needle or something, because people won't know what you mean.
Didn't that just happen with Boba Romeus?
I want to call that rules lawyering, honestly. Of course, the card he meant to name like.
So, the distinction that I've heard with that particular case is that the deck lists were furnished to the players, and he said the Boba, I can't even say his name. The
Bori Gorumos? Bori Gorumos?
Yeah, the sticker player. But I think that player in particular, or that he said the one in your deck, right? And because the deck lists were furnished, I think that would fall under, or it could fall under the situation where you've sufficiently named the card so that it can't be a different one. Let's look at sideboarding. JP's going to bring in Murderous Cut. He saw
Grand Arbiter.
Grand Arbiter, so he'll bring in his cut for that. Outside of that, he has no idea what Brian's on. He may bring in Trigon Predator, but I doubt it. And maybe some Nature's Claims, because Brian's known for some things. But to be honest, JP's main deck seems fairly set up to fight Brian. Brian just had the Kohler. And
yeah.
Bor Rigmos is
Bori Gorumos.
Bor Rigmos is how we're pronouncing it, apparently. So the guy said the name wrong. Rich Shea told us how to turn the names off, by the way, in chat.
Yeah, I just did that now.
Okay. So it's Bor Rigmos. But it's actually Bor Rigmos Enraged, or whatever the new is that you have to name. And the guy said the one in your deck is the story I'm hearing. And I would contend that if deck lists are furnished, and you specifically say the one in your deck, not asking for further clarification or accepting that he named Borber Rigmos Enraged is on the border of rules lawyering. It's within the rules, it's allowed, but I think it's not the way you want to be known for winning.
Yeah, I don't.
I
don't agree with that whatsoever. Of course, he named that card. He wouldn't name a random card.
Well, like, he didn't name a random card. He named I believe this happened in Modern, and
yeah, it's Modern.
Rigmos from Ravnica is legal.
Yeah.
So, it's not as if his opponent named an illegal card and he had to correct him or call a judge. There was a legal name. Again, 5 years ago, I would be applauding the player who rules lawyered for doing the right thing. There's Jace. Do we have the Force? Do we have the Black Lotus? Last card? Nope. So JP's hand is pretty solid. There's the Murderous Cut. We called it. Um, I like JP's hand here. He doesn't have a fetch land to go with his Brainstorm, but he does have mana. He has Lotus. He has Force, and he has an Answer and Cut. If we can't really mulligan that hand. Brian's hand has 2/1 CMC cards to push through.
Yeah.
He is light on mana, but he does have 2 cantrips. So I think Brian keeps as well. Brian's already said he was keeping. He jumped the gun before JP got to tell him.
Yeah. Richie popped up saying that he is kind of regretting. What I said. I was going on to say that he made a mistake holding him to that.
Okay, I haven't spoken to Bob recently. That's great to hear. So JP mulliganed his hand, which I think his 7 was actually reasonable there. I don't like the mulligan. Where he ended up is way worse.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know what 6 he was chasing. He had Force of Will. He had. Did he had Flusterstorm? I think, or he had a number of cards he could play. And I think he had a Brainstorm, right? I liked his hand. I wouldn't have mulliganed that 7. Brian's hand has a lot of gas,
But no lands.
but he's short on mana. I think this is going to be a Ponder. If I'm Brian, I Ponder here. 1, it goes 4 deep, and 2, it doesn't Brainstorm lock if I whiff.
Yeah, I definitely want to hit my ponder first. He goes for a basic. Very smart.
Well, right. He saw Strip Mine in game 1. He assumed he saw Wasteland in game 1.
Yeah, so Wasteland game 1, but he's actually going to get strip mine here. So if he bricks on his ponder, shuffles, and doesn't draw a land, he's in bad trouble.
Yeah. Yes, he is.
And next turn, if he doesn't have a land or he top decks a land, he definitely will Flusterstorm the Brainstorm, the cantrip next turn.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't. Okay, so we drew a Monastery Mentor.
Fold?
We drew a Probe. Okay.
I do a probe.
So
So he's taking a look at the hand and he's Well,
if I'm JP, actually, I would consider Fluster. Oh well, he doesn't know Brian's choked on lands yet.
yeah, he doesn't know at all. The black card is Night's Whisper. 1 in a black, pay 2 life, draw 2 cards. Get Necro for 2. Well, not Necro then. Bargain for 2.
Yeah, it's a sweet card. Greg Fenton popularized it again. I want to say 3 years ago now in Oath of Druids, when Gristlebrand was printed. He was just looking for a efficient draw card, and then it ended up going into a Storm deck after Greg brought it back, and it's sort of fallen out of favor. The main reason why is because you're paying life for cards, and life is a precious resource in Vintage now.
Yeah.
10 years ago, life for cards was the best deal ever. There was no one really attacking the life total incrementally. You would get Tendrils for, your life total, or you would get Darksteeled or...
Darksteeled over 2 turns. As long as you didn't drop below 11, Darksteel still took 2 turns.
Yeah.
And then the only attacking deck poisoned you.
Yeah, Rich. So Rich said he's been playing Night Whisper Control for a while, and you're not wrong. It's been in and out of favor, but I think it's been in and out. It hasn't been a consistent mainstay. Your Night Whisper Control Slaver deck, I believe, is post-dated after Greg Fenton's Oath Night Whisper deck, unless you had one before it. I don't know 100% for sure either way on that one.
Okay, so back to the game. The Night's Whisper resolved. Brian didn't like it. He said in the chat, "I don't like it." So he does have his Ponder found a fetch land. So he went Ponder. He found Probe, fetch land, and X, which you won't see because I'm assuming he's going to use his fetch land. So he knows the third card, and that's why he's pausing on his Brainstorm.
No, it's the Seeker of the Way, right? So he hit Probe, which...
Oh, right, Probe, and then he drew Seeker. So these are all fresh cards. I feel like he was going through the same process I just went. It's like, wait, isn't there a card? No. These are all new cards. So a third force and a repeal. Get with the repeals.
Rich, you definitely win if you were playing it before Thirst was restricted. Again, Greg only brought it back a few years ago. It had fallen out of favor. Even you stopped playing it. I remember you were playing when I first was following you. I believe you were playing Shea Mora, which is the Mystic Remora deck, and you didn't have Night Whisper in that. So again, it's a powerful card. It's certainly seen play, but it's fallen out of favor. I think that's fair to say. So now JP is probably holding Strip Mine to play around Gush. He knows Brian is likely to play it. He
Yeah,
didn't see it in game one.
he can strip in response to the fetch land, so Brian really can't crack his fetch land right now because he will get strip mined. I think
Correct.
so. Oh, so he's just gonna ignore it.
He's going to DT. He's going to get Black Lotus and play Jace. Brian's going to Force of Will. JP's going to Flusterstorm. Brian's going to let Flusterstorm resolve and then force back. Is my belief of what's about to happen. That's just looking at the hands here.
I mean, it's not turn one, so.
Yeah, right. It's not nearly-
I mean, he's playing it one turn early. He got Ancestral. Interesting.
I don't like that decision.
Well, I know if he gets Lotus, he can't cast Flusterstorm because that taps him out.
Oh yeah.
So I do agree with the Ancestral. When he's going to cast it is a different thing. I think he's going to wait on it.
Yeah, I think he has to wait.
Yeah, he waited on it. He's passing.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think he can cast it on Brian's end step. I think he has to wait all the way to his
Main phase because he wants the Flusterstorm. Yeah.
Yeah, he has to have both Flusterstorm and Force of Will live, which he doesn't have.
So fetch land makes Treasure Cruise 2. He might. I don't know. I don't know about that repeal. I think he's.
Yeah, he's just gonna jam for Seeker of the Way here and see what JP does. Now JP has Abrupt Decay already, so JP's gonna let that happen.
But then again, that makes his Ancestral take another turn, or is he willing to take damage? I think he's willing to take damage. He wants to get this Ancestral off and to have the Flusterstorm back up. I think that's pretty important.
Yeah, he's at 19. Taking 2 or 3 damage is nothing.
Yeah, and now the Strip Mine is, if he continues to play around Gush, the Strip Mine's pretty dead.
Yeah, well, he wasn't. So last turn he chose to DT with Blue up to protect it with Flusterstorm,
Right.
which is fine. Then now he doesn't want to.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Okay, apparently he does.
He's just seeing what's up. Okay, he just wants to get the Gush out of the way if he did it.
Yeah. He's bottlenecking Brian.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
He hasn't drawn any Moxes or anything. So I think now you main phase Ancestral and then have that fight. Because then if he doesn't even want to fight over it, he can just yeah.
So if Brian doesn't play a spell on his next turn, a non-creature spell, it doesn't even matter. It's literally a Grizzly Bear, right? So that's fine.
He drew a Grizzly Bear. He drew a 2 power for 2. Aegis of the Gods is in his hands.
He
Main
probably
deck.
put JP on Oath based on JP's turn 1. Like he saw blue, black, and green.
Oh yeah, that's
So,
right. And the
he
Nice
has
Whisper.
to-
Maybe put him way back to
Yeah,
green.
about 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
If I'm JP, I wait to see what Brian does here. Brian looks to be jamming Aegis of the Gods. He could potentially boat.
I think he wants to boat. No, he's doing
No,
Aegis. He just
Aegis.
wants to put guys in play.
So now that I'm JP and I know what's going on, I likely just take my 2 here and go for Ancestral with Force backup and Flusterstorm backup. It's
Yeah.
going to cost him Jace though.
I mean, he's playing out creatures, so
I don't think Flusterstorm's going to get multiple spells here, Matt. It only would have gotten multiple spells if Brian would have led with Boat.
yeah, definitely.
Until Brian leads with a spell, it's only going to ever if he leads with Force of Will in the fight, it'll get 2 spells, but it doesn't really matter at that point whether it's Force of Will first or Flusterstorm first. And if I'm JP, I want to hold my
Yeah, so
Jace.
going for Ancestral, and I think Brian has to snap force this.
I don't necessarily think he does. He has double Force, double blue card, and a whole bunch of versatile answers. People sometimes overvalue Force of Will. It's your opponent gets 2 free cards, right? They lose the card that they're casting and then get 3 new ones. So it's really a +2, right? It's -1, +3. If you Force of Will, which apparently Brian's doing, you're giving up 2 cards already, right? So if you give up the 2 cards, they're still getting the same advantage.
I just feel bad that like every point this night where we've disagreed, the players agreed with me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe I'm just a little more conservative. So
That's perfectly fine. I agree with both plays. And then so we get Flusterstorm, so he's going to throw another force at it. And then he's
yeah,
going to
so
force back pitch Jace. So he's going to get his Ancestral.
he's gonna get his ancestral, but now he's got like nothing,
And
and
then,
Brian has both.
yeah, Brandon's
So let's
boat.
see. This ancestral has to be really good, and
It was
that's
two
not,
lands Crucible.
actually that's the Crucible is awesome.
Crucible's
Uh,
pretty good here, but
he's gonna mill Crucible, strip lock, and try to stem the tide of bleeding.
yeah,
Problem is that Brian's still gonna be able to cast boat,
yeah, he still casts
uh,
boat.
and that's going to be a big issue. Now that means we have decay, snap, decay.
Unless he wants to get greedy and snap Ancestral.
I don't like that here. I like Crucible of Worlds, strip lock you.
I
You're right. Apparently,
I don't even agree with that play. I like the
I don't
Crucible strip. You knock him off a white. You know he can't play a Mentor. He can boat next turn, but it's
That's the only card in Vintage that he could have. All right.
So we drew Wasteland. That play can still happen. So he knew Wasteland was on top,
Yeah,
obviously.
he knew it was there. I guess what ended up happening is that he knew Brian couldn't counter while he was tapped down, so he rushed the Ancestral to make sure he'd get. Well, I guess Brian found both cards he could cast off one land. My goodness. It must be nice to be the Vintage World Champ sometimes.
You didn't see the chat when we games between you guys in the finals. There was a lot of head back sigh. I can't believe this. Brian keeps things interesting, and by he does, I mean the top of his deck does. And he draws a lands, he draws a misstep.
Oh wow! So you know what's really awesome about Aegis of the Gods is that it turns off the Liliana -2.
Oh wow!
Small interactions you have no idea that are ever going to come up. So Brian probably beats in for 3 here because JP can't block effectively.
Yeah, and
He
you would happily trade.
Send this Aegis, yeah, I would hold that back.
I would happily trade with that, but he's gonna get a decay, and then we're gonna have a standoff, right? Vintage 2-2-1 staring at each other.
Maybe, I don't know. So it looks like Brian's gonna Ancestral here. That's the only reason to crack fetch in the main.
Yeah, he wants to just get an extra damage.
It's not so much about the extra damage; it's about resolving it while his opponent's tapped down.
Yeah.
He's playing around Flusterstorm. He's playing around situational counters. Yeah, so JP has also loved the Brian Kelly draws. He says, "Jesus, you got it."
So both player double Ancestral. That's fair, right?
Yeah, that seems fair. Except that Brian has Snapcaster for the next Ancestral.
The third Ancestral. So he's going to gain 4 life, which is actually relevant.
Yeah, I mean, and JP loses 4. But that Aegis of the Gods is going to do a whole lot of work.
Yeah.
So if I'm JP here, I like Crucible of Worlds, attack the mana, but like he again going back to what Randy had said that time, you can't win that way. Yeah, so he's playing Delta. He's going to decay Seeker or Aegis when it comes up.
Hold on. Does he realize that the Liliana is shut off by the Aegis? Because
I hope so.
Because he just fetched right now. Does he want to? I would want Night's Whisper first, or maybe he's decaying first. Night's Whisper. Yeah, he wants a Night's Whisper first and then go. Okay. But if he draws a Mox, what if he gets excited and plays the Mox and goes for Liliana? Oh, okay.
So here's the other sweet card from JP, Mana Gorger Hydra.
Mana Gorger Hydra.
So this card has been breaking out in the Northeast over the past 2 months. It's a Jeremy Beaver special. He came up with it originally. It's been adopted into many other decks. But in essence, what it is a grow spell, or grow creature, in the vein of
Quirion Dryad.
But it triggers off both players.
And it has Trample.
And it has Trample, which is
it triggers off of green spells.
Yes. It triggers off everything, off everybody.
I have played a lot of Quirion Dryad, so the upgrade I'm definitely all for.
Yeah, it does cost 1 more mana, which is the thing. And it is quite vulnerable to Sudden Shock. It's the only card that outright trumps it. And Abrupt Decay. But you can at least misdirect or do things to Abrupt Decay. You can't do anything to Sudden
Yeah.
Shock. I guess you could play Willbender,
Oh
but
my
it's
God, Willbender.
yeah, because you can unmorph in response to that.
If Sudden
So
Shock gets big, Willbender might become a thing.
it's possible. So the way I see that is, if I have my creature in play and they have Sudden Shock, the world that I live in that also has my Willbender and
face
2 mana
face down. The
is a
morph
pretty
they don't.
yeah your morphed Willbender is pretty low likelihood. We would probably need to have other morph cards in the format before
So
that became
so what
real.
you're telling me is next week, well, next
Next
week,
trimester?
next trimester, Brian is going to play one Willbender and is going to Willbend 3 Ancestrals in the same game with it. Is what
Yeah,
you're
with
telling
the
me.
Ixatrons.
No, just playing a Willbender, and that's Ancestral, Regrowth on Ancestral, and then Snapcaster Ancestral is the line.
Oh no, I thought it was Willbend their ancestral. Put it back down. Willbend, yeah. That's how Brian does it.
So
All right,
dig,
so now he's digging.
setting
There's
aside the cards he doesn't want to exile.
yeah, because he has the Snapcaster.
Yeah. And then, so he got rid of some forces, the Seeker, boat, yeah, all this stuff's, all that stuff he doesn't really care about. He's holding 2 Gushes. Look at the top 7. When he puts them on the bottom, we'll find out what he's deciding on.
Yeah, we should remind players to cycle through the cards.
Yeah.
We were gonna do that, but we forgot to tell everybody. But if you cycle through the cards, it'll put it into the chat for the not players, so we can comment a little bit about what your decision lines are.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I really like Willbender. I like the art on Willbender.
I played Willbender in Standard when it was 10th
Pickles?
edition, Time Spiral, and Ravnica.
I loved
And I
that
played
deck.
4-color Seismic Assault, Life from the Loam control. And the blue was strictly for extirpate. Because my deck folded to extirpate your life from the loams. But anything else,
with
I did very well against.
with Kamigawa Time Spiral. No, not Time. Actually, Kamigawa Ravnica was probably my favorite deck brew that I ever made, because what I played was Mana Acceleration, Wildfire, Life from the Loam, Gifts Ungiven, Keiga. I think I had Pyroclasm in there. I don't know. It was the goofiest 3-color deck with no dual lands, because I just want to thaw for everything, but Tendo Ice Bridges so I could sack them to my Wildfire and then loam them back. I played all the legendary lands so I could legend roll my opponent's lands. Like 1 Minamo, 1 Shinka, 1... Forget the
Iganjo.
other one. No, not Iganjo. The green one. Because I need my colors.
But so yeah, so that deck was sweet. My red white, it was red white green with a very small splash for blue, literally just for Willbender.
The Willbend. You could Willbend the extirpate to a different card in the graveyard. That works.
Yeah.
As a target. Oh wow, yeah.
Yep. And so you would keep your loams. It had Flagstones of Trocare and Boom Bust, and it had Edge of Autumn. That was my favorite one. So Edge of Autumn is cycle it, sacrifice a land, draw a card. So basically, with the Flagstones of Trocare, you'd get a fetch land, and you draw a card. It's
Well,
great.
Yeah, you could get a dual land because it's a
Right,
plains.
get a dual land off of it, and you could do it at instant speed at end step.
Or,
in
but
response
the Boom Bust was meaner though, because it straight up
yeah.
was 2 mana Stone Rain.
Right, and and you would get mana fix out of it. It wasn't even just Stone Rain. It was turn your planes
Stone Rain fetch land.
into better planes.
It's an island plains.
Yeah,
All right,
so
we found the mentor. So he went Crucible. So he got it off topic. He went Crucible, Strip. He did not gush in response because he wants his lands, which makes sense because he's got the Crucible lock going. So he breaks. Interesting. He broke. Oh, he needed the white. All right, yeah. No, that's perfectly fine. Break it. Play Mentor.
He also wants to save his mana for when he needs it. Right? Like right now, he doesn't need any mana.
He didn't have any white. That was. I think he would have cast it with lands, leaving the Lotus open if he had white because he wanted to play the Lotus.
This Snapcaster seems. Oh, I guess JP is showing weak resistance, so
Yeah.
he's okay. So Snap resolves. It's going to be Ancestral. That's going to trigger Mentor, and I don't think JP had any sweepers. So I think we're.
No. What's it called? Toxic Deluge. No Toxic Deluge.
Yeah, I didn't see it when I looked. And,
Well, he could get himself in a position where if he goes Hydra and then Abrupt Decay. he can
Uh,
fend off Monk for a little while? Because he's
so
just
Hydra ends up outclassing Mentor over the long term, but I don't think he has a long term. Brian
well.
has double gush here. Um,
Oh yeah, he's about to make him. Oh, he can't double gush though. He only has 3 lands.
sure. I just meant like so now this turn he can gush now, and he can play Sylvan Library and gush next turn. So he's way ahead in.
Well, he played a land this turn, so he can't play the Sylvans.
You're right, but so right now, if he gushes right now or gushes in response to Hydra, um, Brian has more tokens than JP has.
Ways to deal with tokens.
Yeah, well then we'll have Hydras.
Yeah.
And even though JP will keep his counters every turn without a time walk effect, which he currently doesn't have, he's going to get outclassed by Brian's mentor.
Well,
Well,
no. He's got abrupt decay. So my thinking is he goes Hydra, abrupt decay the mentor.
Right.
So he's got 2 monks and 2 idiots that don't do anything. And then so he can't really leverage. Like he has to make a big monk.
Well,
He's
there's
got force
for the
now.
Manticore to Hydra. It's always good to be Brian Kelly, boys and girls.
Never mind. Never. I didn't look at the top cards of his deck that were gonna save him.
Just didn't be Brian Kelly. That's all. That's all it is. I've. Oh wow, he offers the Aegis of the Gods. I would
Really?
snap take that.
Yeah.
I guess he doesn't know about Liliana. Yeah, that's.
He definitely does not know about Liliana.
Yeah, he's about to find out.
No, he's not gonna find it. I think he wants to go Hydra Decay.
Yeah,
Hydra
that's what
gets
he's gonna
forced,
do.
decay it, and then he's
Once
got
the game resolves.
still got nothing. He's got strip though. He could.
I would actually. So this is one of the few times where I think decaying the monk outright is better than playing Hydra.
It doesn't play around misdirection because he always can misdirect it to his Crucible.
Right. We don't. I mean, misdirection we lose the game to. But if Brian has a counter spell in his 9-card hand, which he likely does, right? We don't want to give him an extra monk, so I would definitely leave
Okay.
decay.
And make him have to have an instant, which he could not have. No, yeah, no. I definitely agree with you on that. That's a really good call. Because he decays right now, he cannot make another monk. So
It's obviously
2 monks.
suboptimal for the Hydra, but
Right.
I think
Something?
keeping a monk off the table is more important than a
Bant.
1 counter on the Hydra.
Do another land. So many lands this game.
But instead, we just throw out the Manticore Giant. I guess you had it right, sir.
I didn't have it right. I agree with your play 100%. I don't know what's
but
going on.
I watched the analysis and just keep coming up.
all these stuff, and nope, I want Hydra and I want to counter on Hydra. So now he
Yeah.
gets another monk, and
So if I'm Brian, I pitch the misstep. Yeah, I agree with that. He in Brian's head, Gush is live. He's not thinking about the decay.
yeah.
Now what's interesting is that pretty much forces JP into the decay line now. Previously he could have gone just decay mentor, strip mine your island, and keep Brian off ever having lands again.
Yeah, you could keep him at 1 land for the rest of the game. If you didn't have Mentor in play, that would be a fantastic line. That would probably win him the game.
I mean, even with mentor in play,
I think he's just showing him the hand.
yeah, he's conceding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't super fond of some of the lines in that game. But Brian's deck was sweet and did a lot of awesome stuff.
You're playing Grand Arbiter Augustin the fourth, which is always a well-known vintage playable card.
It is now.
right along, Magus of the Moat, Magus of the Future.
Well, Magus of the Moat and Magus of the Future are now alive. I'm going to message Keith on my phone, so if anyone sees that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break as we get ready for match 4.